again? Okay. Now we're on Nun Aleph, 51. So, Bechor Umaiser, the Chalim Abamum Kavua. There is an exception. For example, we said other korbanos, if they have a balmum, you can't be magdish them. The thing is, a firstborn animal that comes out, even if it comes out with a mum kavua, it has kedusha sepachor. And the same thing, if you are a farmer and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this is the 10th animal, even if it has a mum kavua, there's a chalois of the kedusha. So it doesn't. If you're going to say shem zevach, any korban, well, there's examples of korbanos that don't fit that rule. Ela shem zevach loktani. So it doesn't talk about shem zevach either. Umayshna, but there's a difference between talking about a tmura and talking about zevach. Tmura, shem tmura achasi. All the dinim of tmura are one dinim, but zevach is not the same because ikka bechor v'kamai, so that the din is different. So we have the answer that we said about chata shemesu baleh still remains, because we're talking about it's a chata shutafi. Now, Ula Rav Sheshes gave an answer that we're not talking about the par Yom Kippur. We're talking about the ayil, the ram that the Kohen Gadol offers as an oath. Why did they have to find this weird case of the Elo Shalar? Look at the Pesach. Why not just say Korban Pesach? The Doiches Shabbos v'Satuma. You're allowed to bring the Korban Pesach even if it's on Shabbos, even if you're Tamei. The Osa Tmur, the Korban Yachidu. And it can make it Tmur because it's a private Korban. So he holds, the reason why he had to learn it's not the Pesach, Savar, Ein Shechtina Pesach ala Yachid. There is no such thing as the Pesach being shechted for one person. You must have multiple people. That's why there's subscriptions to the Korban Pesach. So you can't, he's of the opinion that you can't shech for one person. The Nukma be Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni certainly is a Korban that's brought by an individual who, was either in China when Pesach came or was Tamei. So the Gemara says, Pesach Sheni won't fit this bill because midachi tumah. Pesach Rishon is offered even though Klal Yisrael is tamei. But if you're tamei on the 15th of Iyar, you don't bring a Pesach Sheni. It's not, the tumah is not nitche by Pesach Sheni. The Tana Maishna Pesach, the Koile Korban Yachi. So the Pesach you call the Korban Yachi. Even though it's brought by individual people. Yes, it's brought by a big group at one time. But Umayshna Chagiga, the Korle Korban Sipur. Now, remember, the Korban Chagiga was every family, when they were Oila Regel, they brought an animal to offer as a shlomim so they could eat meat. That was the Korban Chagiga. Well, that's also Korban Yochim. Why did you call that a Korban Sipur? So, Imishum de Asi Beknufia, it's because it's done by thousands of people. Pesach Nami Yosi Beknufia. Korban Pesach is also offered in the same way. So why the Korban Pesach do you call it Korban Yochid, and the Korban Chagiga you call it Korban Sibur? So because Ika Pesach Sheni, the law is Beknufia. Pesach Sheni is brought individually, not by many people. Well, since it's got a specific date, it should be Doicha Shabbos and Tum as well. Omer le'in. Kimanda Omer Dochi. Eina Chanami. This is the Manda Omer who holds it is Doicha. The Tanya Pesach Sheni, Doicha Shabbos, Ve'ena Docha Tumah. That's the Tanakama. But Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af Doicha Fatuma. Now, my time of the Tanakama. Why does the Tanakama say that Pesach Sheni is Doicha Shabbos, but not Doicha Tumah? Omer Locha. B'mnei Tumah T'chisuv. Yasei B'tumah. What's the whole reason that a person was pushed off the Pesach Sheni? Because of Tumah. Now again, you're going to be doicha because of Tumah. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lacha Amar Kra, the pasuk by Pesach Sheni says specifically, Kechol Pesach Yasu Oso. You have to perform the Pesach Sheni exactly the way you perform all the dinim of Pesach Rishon. Well, One of the dinim of Pesach Rishon is that even if Klal Yisrael is the majority, 51% is Tumah, it's still brought. So the Pesach Sheni says Rabbi Yehuda also can be brought in the state of Tumah. Afilu b'Tumah. HaTorah echzira alav lasoisa b'tahara. Lo zacha yasenu b'Tumah. If he was Tamei Pesach Rishon, so the Torah gives him a second chance to do it b'Tahara. But if he's not Zoicha to do it b'Tahara, he can still do it b'Tumah. Now, we'll go back. Can the Kohen Gadol make a Tmura on the par? It says the par belongs to him. So maybe it's not considered that it's shutafi, and it's they're only derech agav that they come in. Ditanya asher lo mishalo maybe v'lo mishal tzibur. Yacha lo yavi mishal tzibur. Sheinat tzibur. Maybe it shouldn't come from the tzibur. Sheinat tzibur miskapim. Right? Klal Yisrael doesn't get kapor with this part. Aval yavi mishalecha v'kohanim. But maybe he should make a collection from his brother Kohanim. Because the brother Kohanim do get kapor. No, it's got to come from him. Yachol lo yavi. Now let's say it doesn't come from him. Maybe he shouldn't bring, but the imhevi kosher. But maybe b'di'evet, if he brought it, it would be kosher. Talmud lo marshuv asher lo. Shona kosav alav laki. The Torah repeated lo twice to tell me that it's got to come from his personal asset. So based on this, the Gemara wants to argue that it can make it tomorrow. And for the Gemara, based on your own reasonings, if the Kohanim have no kinyan in this par, how do they get kapara? Elashani begaza the Aaron the after Kohanim. Even though he's bringing it from an asset from himself, it's considered as if he was magdishit for his brother Kohanim. Shiny because of the Aaron, after Kohanim. That the asset of Aaron HaKohen, that since they made it mafki regarding the brothers Kohanim, in some way they have access to it, maybe he can't make a Tmura. So there's no riot from here whether he could or not make a Tmura. So Mishnah, up until now, he has a spoon full of ktoires in his left hand, and he has the pan full of coals in his right hand. And he walks into the Heichal building, right? And the Heichal building has the Mezbeach Hazov in the middle, the menorah in the south, the Shulchan in the north, and then there were two curtains that divided the Heichal and the Kodesh Kodoshim. He's heading to the Kodesh Kodoshim. There were two curtains. You entered one way, you walked down the length of the curtain, then you entered the other, the Kodesh Kodoshim, through an opening in the curtain on the other side. Uveineim Amma, there was one Amma between the two curtains. Rabbi Yossi Omer lo yisur sham elo paroches achas kuvat. It wasn't two curtains, it was one curtain. Shene'amar v'hivdila paroches lachem bein hakodesh u'bein kodesh hakodesh. So Shapir Kamal Rabbi Yossi Rabbanan. How could the Rabbanan say there were two curtains? The Torah refers to one paroches. The Rabbanan amil chani mili b'mishkan. Fine. In the Mishkan, they had one curtain. Aval b'migdash sheni, which we're talking about by sheni, kiven de lahavi ametraxin. They didn't. There was a shaila whether the thickness of the wall of this koiso excuse me. So first of all, the wall of the wall and no, Rashi says kach nikris koisel mechitza sheifsik b'migdash rishon. The amatraxin was a wall that Shlomo Melech built in the Beis HaMikdash first one. Ava b'mikdash sheni shaya gavoa meya amo, 100 amos high. Lo aso, they didn't build a wall. Lefi shlo ayu oiveh ela amma, the thickness of the wall was only 1 amma, and it couldn't be engineered properly. Eina yechol la'amod begova meya amma. A wall of only 2 feet thick cannot stand 200 feet high. And that's how high the wall was. So they had to have curtains. So they had the wall, so they only needed 1 division. But in the second Beis HaMikdash, this space of 1 amma, they didn't know, was it treated with the Kedusha of the Kodesh Kodashim, or was it treated with the Kedusha of the Heichal? The Ovid Shtei Paroiches. So this amma became like no man's land. It was like a suffix. So that's why you went into one. There were 2 curtains. There was an opening on the south and an opening on the north. So you walked in from the south and you walked towards the north and you came into the Kodesh Kodashim via the north. We'll see. There's a machlokas which way they went. Torabanan, Bein HaMizbeach LaMenorah HaYimalech. He walked between the Mizbeach and the menorah towards the south. David Rabbi Yehuda. Rab Meir Oimer Ben Shulchan LaMizbeach. No, he walked northerly between the Mizbeach and the Shulchan. The Yeshoimim Ben Shulchan LaKoisa. Some say he walked mamish next to the northern wall between the Shulchanois and the wall. Man Yeshoimim. Who's the Yeshoimim? Amar Chizr Rabbi Yosi. The Amar Pischa B'Tzafon Koi. I told you that there were 2 curtains. The question is, who had the first opening on the first curtain? Was it in the north or in the south? According to Rabbi Yosi, it's in the north. So therefore, to make it a straight shot for the Kohen Gadol, he walked on the northern wall. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lacha. Rabbi Yehuda was the one who said that you walk between the Mizbech LaMenorah, which is in the south. He held the opening of that first curtain was in the Pischa B'Doram Koi. Now, Rab Meir, where did he hold the opening was? Rab Meir Kaman Svirah. He Rab Yehuda Svirah nail Rab Yehuda. If he held like Rab Yehuda, let him walk like Rab Yehuda is between the menorah and the Mizbeach. He Rab Yosi Svirah. And if he held that the opening was in the north, nail Rab Yosi, let him walk between the shulchan and the wall. So the Gemara answers Loilam Rab Yosi Svirah. Rab Meir held like Rab Yosi that the opening was in the north. We hold that the tables lengthwise were placed east-west. Rab Meir held that the tables were placed lengthwise north-south. And therefore, it was difficult for the Kohen Gadol to walk between the Mizbeach and the Shulchan because it almost abutted the Shulchan. So therefore, it was easier for him to walk north of the Shulchan between the Shulchanos and the wall. The boy said, if you want, I'll tell you, really, he held like we hold, that the tables were lengthwise in the same direction as the Beis HaMikdash, which is east-west. To derech kavod, it's not kavod to walk straight into it. If you're walking next to the wall, you're going to walk straight into the opening. He says it's more kavod to walk in the middle and then make a turn, and it's more kavodic for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to walk that. Okay, gentlemen.
Go ahead.